The multi-party charter for South Africa says it has made serious headway in its quest to unseat the ANC in next year's general elections. The charter's independent chairperson, William Gumede, says parties have agreed on the allocation of positions should they win the election. The 7 opposition parties are holding a national convention on the possible coalition. The charter has reiterated that this is not only to unseat the ANC, but also to rebuild the country. Juniour Khumalo is following developments there for us. So, Juniour, from divine intervention to breathing exercises and trust sessions, what more did we hear?
Good afternoon, Tutu. Indeed, there's a lot of headway that has been made. There were a lot of questions going into this convention on how this coalition will deal with things such as fundraising, such as campaigning, and we had some of these answers today. So we know yesterday they came up with a name, the multi-party charter for South Africa. We know they came up with 8 shared governance values. They also came out with 8 key principles that they would be seeking to instill in South Africa should they take governance. And today we got more clarity on things such as fundraising. William Gumede said that the parties were in agreement that should any money be donated amongst these parties, it should be split amongst all of these parties to conduct a campaign that does not only express the parties' own identity as individual parties, but also the shared values, to campaign in a way that it also expresses the shared values of this collective. He also spoke about campaigning as a whole, like all these parties are going to campaign individually first, and then they will have a shared platform where they will announce a shared manifesto to all South Africans. I guess at the shared manifesto they are going to detail these key values that they have agreed upon today, but also beyond that they spoke about how they would deal with the main issue of contention, which is power sharing. Gumede spoke about this at the briefing that just ended right now. Let's listen to what he said.
So the parties have agreed how they're going to work together, how they're going to, if they come to government, when they're going to come to government, how they're going to share power, how it's going to look like, how they're going to establish a government, and how would they allocate positions, and so on. Now, the principles of the power sharing that I've agreed on, what would the principles be? One, that power will be shared approximately proportional to the election result. So, I mean, it is important to emphasize that in this kind of coalition, and that every party will still have their individual identities, and they will compete in the election based on the individual identities, but part of a coalition. Again, it's very new in the South African circumstances, very new. But once the election result is out, and they will then deal with representation among themselves. And the parties have agreed to come together in the following months still, to come up with a much more substantial engagement on shared policy, because in 2 days you cannot agree on each and every policy, but you can agree on the key policies. So they've done that, and so they commit to work on a fully fledged policy platform in the months to come, based on the pillars of the agreement that have reached today. Okay, so they've reached really the pillar policy agreements, and now they have to substantiate that much more fully in a fully fledged manifesto in the coming months. And obviously they also have to keep it, they can't be too close yet, because there's ongoing negotiations to bring in more parties to the coalition, so also to give other parties the opportunity to make some input. But the core, the pillars have been agreed on, and it's a really significant moment for a group of parties that fought each other in the past to actually agree on the fundamentals of a policy platform.
That was William Gumede, the chairperson of this convention, outlining what has been agreed upon this afternoon. The same party can't hold power in the executive and in the legislature. When it comes to constituting cabinet, it must reflect the diversity that is in South Africa. These are some of the things that he spoke about. We will be having another briefing at 5 o'clock where all the 7 parties represented will be here to also engage the media on the achievements that have happened, and there's going to be a signing of a resolution to do.
Okay, Junior, thank you very much for that update.